My name is Thomas, and I built my life like I built my architecture firm, with precision, order, and a clear vision of the future. The blueprint for my personal life was my wife, Isabel. We were the golden couple. She, a brilliant cellist with a soul full of stormy, beautiful music. I, the steady, grounded architect who provided the foundation for her art to soar. We balanced each other. For 10 years, it was a perfect symphony. Our son, Noah, was the crescendo of that symphony. At 8 years old, he had his mother's wild, dark curls and my calm, observant eyes. He was the center of our universe, the living proof of our love. The first note of dissonance was subtle, so faint I almost missed it. It was a Thursday evening. Isabel was performing with the city orchestra, a gala event. I was in my home office reviewing blueprints while Noah slept soundly upstairs. My phone buzzed a notification from our home security system. Front door unlocked. I frowned. I was certain I'd locked it after putting Noah to bed. I pulled up the live feed on my phone. The porch was empty. I was about to dismiss it as a glitch when I saw a shadow detach itself from the deeper shadows near our garden shed and move quickly out of the camera's frame. A prankster, I thought. A kid from the neighborhood. I locked the door remotely and went back to work, a tiny, cold knot of unease forming in my stomach. The next morning I found it, a single long-stemmed white lily lying on our front porch. It was pristine, elegant, and utterly anonymous. There was no card. Isabel, when she came home, tired and elated from her performance, laughed it off. A secret admirer, Tom. Maybe someone from the audience. It's flattering, don't you think? She put it in a vase, and its sweet, cloying scent filled the kitchen. I didn't find it flattering. I found it intrusive. The lilies kept coming. Every week, like clockwork, every Thursday night. I checked the security footage each time. It was always the same. A figure in a dark hoodie, face obscured, would place the lily and melt back into the night. I called the police. They were sympathetic but said without a threat, there was little they could do. It was just flowers. I installed more cameras, motion-activated lights. The figure still came, a ghost evading my modern security. Isabel began to change. The initial amusement faded, replaced by a nervous tension. She started jumping at sudden noises. She'd stare out the window for long periods, her cello silent in its stand. The music in her seemed to be dying. When I tried to hold her, she felt stiff in my arms, a million miles away. Maybe we should go away for a while, I suggested one night after another lily had appeared. Visit my parents. Get out of the city. Her reaction was instantaneous and vehement. No, I can't. The orchestra, rehearsals, it's a terrible time. Her eyes were wide, panicked. It was more than career concern. It was fear. The breaking point came 3 weeks later. I was working late at the firm. A storm was raging outside, rain lashing against the windows. My phone buzzed. It was the security system again. Back patio motion detected. I opened the feed expecting to see a tree branch swaying in the wind. But it wasn't a branch. The hooded figure was there, on our patio, peering through the French doors into our dark living room. He wasn't just leaving a flower, he was looking inside. My blood ran cold. I called Isabel. The phone went straight to voicemail. I called the home landline. No answer. A primal protective terror seized me. I threw on my coat and ran for the car, the blueprints on my desk forgotten. The drive home was a nightmare, the wind and rain trying to push my car off the road. All I could see was that figure staring into my home, where my son was sleeping, where my wife was unreachable. I skidded into our driveway, my heart hammering. The house was dark. I ran to the front door, fumbling with my keys. It was unlocked. I burst inside, my breath catching in my throat. Isabel! Noah! The living room was empty. The house was silent, save for the howling wind outside. I took the stairs 2 at a time, my mind conjuring every worst-case scenario. I threw open Noah's door. He was there, sleeping peacefully, his chest rising and falling in a steady rhythm. A wave of relief so powerful it made me dizzy washed over me. I turned towards our bedroom. The door was ajar. I pushed it open. Isabel was sitting on the edge of the bed, still in her street clothes, soaked to the bone. Her hair was plastered to her face, and she was trembling violently. She was staring at something in her hands. It was a lily, but this one wasn't pristine. It was crushed, its petals bruised and torn, as if it had been clutched in a fist. And tied to its stem wasn't a ribbon, but a small, cheap plastic bracelet, the kind you get at a hospital. She looked up at me, and the raw, unvarnished terror in her eyes was like nothing I had ever seen. "He was here, Tom," she whispered, her voice a ragged tear in the silence. "He was right outside." "Who, Isabel?" I demanded, rushing to her, kneeling before her. "Who is doing this? You have to tell me. This has gone beyond some admirer." She shook her head, sobs beginning to rack her body. She wouldn't look at me. Her gaze was fixed on that hospital bracelet. "You don't understand," she choked out. "It's not what you think. It's all my fault." And in that moment, I knew with a chilling certainty that the lilies weren't a random act of obsession. They were a message meant specifically for my wife. And the terrified woman in front of me knew exactly who was sending it and why. The foundation of our perfect, ordered life had just developed a deep, structural crack, and I was standing directly over it, watching it spread. I didn't press her that night. The terror in her eyes was too real, too absolute. I held her as she shook until the tremors subsided into an exhausted, fitful sleep. I, however, didn't sleep at all. I sat in the living room, the crushed lily and the plastic hospital bracelet on the coffee table before me like evidence from a crime scene. The bracelet was faded, the writing on it almost illegible. I could just make out a name, M. Turner, and a date from over 12 years ago. The rest was a smudge. Who was M. Turner? And what did a 12-year-old hospital bracelet have to do with the lilies and the figure in the hoodie? Isabel's words echoed in my mind. "It's all my fault." Fault for what? The next morning, a fragile, silent truce hung over the house. Isabel's fear had been replaced by a hollow, withdrawn shame. She moved through the kitchen like a ghost, avoiding my eyes. "We need to talk, Isabel," I said, my voice calm but leaving no room for argument. "No more secrets. Who is an M. Turner?" She flinched as if I'd struck her. She wrapped her hands around her coffee mug, her knuckles white. "It's not a who," she whispered, staring into the black liquid. "It's a what. It's from a long time ago. Before you. Before all of this." She gestured vaguely around our beautiful, curated home. "Before me doesn't matter," I said, though a cold dread was pooling in my stomach. "It's here now. It's terrifying our son, and it's destroying you. Tell me." And so haltingly the story began to spill out. It wasn't a confession of a current affair, which was the suspicion I had been harboring. It was something else, something from a past life I never knew she had. Her name wasn't always Isabel, she said. When she was 19, she was Isabel Turner, a scholarship student at a prestigious music conservatory in another state, desperate to escape a bleak, small-town life. She was talented, driven, and painfully naive. She fell in with a crowd that was older, wilder. And she fell hard for a man named Marcus. Marcus was magnetic, she said, her voice distant. He was a painter, older. He saw my talent. He said he could shape it. He shaped everything. Marcus introduced her to a world of parties, of late nights, of a blur of alcohol and pills that she said helped loosen her artistic inhibitions. The plastic bracelet was from a hospital visit after a bad reaction to a substance she didn't even know she was taking. M. Turner, Isabel Turner. The relationship became dark, she continued, a single tear tracing a path down her cheek. He was possessive, controlling. If I talked to another musician, he'd accuse me of sleeping with them. If I spent too much time practicing, he said I was choosing the cello over him. I was a prisoner, but I was too scared and too addicted to his drama to leave. Then she got pregnant. He was furious, she whispered. He said it would ruin my career, his career, everything. He gave me an ultimatum, him or the baby. She chose the baby, or rather, she chose to run. She disappeared from the conservatory, from the city, from Marcus. She went back to her maiden name, legally changed her first name from Isabel to Isabel, and built a new identity from the ground up. She gave the baby, a little boy, up for adoption, believing it was the only way to give him a safe life, far from the toxic shadow of his father. I thought it was over, she sobbed. I thought I had buried Isabel Turner forever. I became Isabel Reed. I met you. I built a clean, beautiful life. I thought I was safe. The pieces were falling into a horrifying place. The lilies, I prompted, my voice gentle but insistent. She took a shaky breath. White lilies were our flower. He always said they represented my pure talent, before the world corrupted me. It was his thing. He'd leave them for me after a fight, a symbol that he still owned me. The figure in the hoodie wasn't a random stalker. It was Marcus. He had found her. After 12 years, he had found her. And he wasn't just leaving flowers as a romantic gesture. He was reminding her that he knew who she really was. He was taunting her. The hospital bracelet was a brutal message. I remember everything. I know your secrets. I own your past. The fear I felt now was different. It was colder, sharper. This wasn't about jealousy anymore. This was about a dangerous, unhinged man from my wife's past who had violently reinserted himself into our present. He had been watching our house. He had been on our patio. He knew about Noah. A new, more terrifying thought occurred to me. If he knew about Noah, did he know that Isabel had once had a son? His son? And if he did, what would he do when he looked at our dark-haired 8-year-old boy and saw a child the same age as the one she had given away? The game had changed entirely. The mysterious admirer was gone, replaced by a tangible, menacing threat. And the secret my wife had been keeping wasn't a simple lie. It was a landmine she had buried deep beneath the foundation of our life. And now, after all these years, it was finally detonating.